Hello and welcome to the new video. Today we're going to try out the new Shadow Dusknoir with the buffed Astonish in the Open Great League. This Pokemon now is going to be very interesting thanks to the Astonish buff, making it a very strong Pokemon. But not only this, it also now has access to the move Shadow Punch. We also gave it the legacy move thanks to an Elite Shadow Ball, which in my opinion I would not recommend you to do. Either go for Dark Pulse or go for Poltergeist, which would do also a ton of damage. I would actually not recommend you to use an Elite Charge Team on it. I kind of regret it a bit. Here's the thing, basically you have already so much Ghost type damage on this Pokemon that you barely go for Shadow Ball. Like, you really barely go for Shadow Ball, and had some situations where I would have been able to most likely break through some of the hardest answers of this Pokemon if I had Poltergeist, so that's what I would recommend you to do. Don't do what I did and use an Elite Team on this Pokemon, but still, how good is this Pokemon actually? And honestly, I was expecting quite a bit from this Pokemon, for sure, because, like, honestly, like, this thing itself looks very good, especially with the fast move damage and also Shadow Punch getting buffed now, and the Shadow bonus, and Ghost typing being a very good offensive typing. It was difficult. It was definitely difficult, and it's just based on the meta. What I think is definitely the case is that this Pokemon is going to be amazing for limited metas, but actually, the stats itself are actually a bit tricky for this Pokemon sometimes. But we're going to take a look at this here today anyway, as we're going to see the opponent going down here in the beginning. But yeah, I have to say, I got very unlucky with the matchups. You see, by the way, every single matchup that I had with this Pokemon here today as well, there's nothing cut out, so you see a clear detail on if you really want to build this Pokemon or not. Drill is coming through here against the opponent's Clodsire, which is in theory a great matchup for the Dunsparce, and also I kind of messed up a little bit. I should have not used this shield. This shield was a mistake. This shield was definitely a little bit tricky, but we know of course that they have already a hard answer to me in the lead, and so we kind of need to realign ourselves. We kind of need to get somewhat of an advantage, but we're not going to get this advantage here because actually the opponent is going to be able to now kind of knock me out because of the fast move damage that is coming in there. If I let the move go through earlier on, I would have got a shield advantage, which might have been a way of us getting back into this matchup, but as we take a little bit too long to go for those drill runs here, it is a bit of a trickier one. Anyway, we're gonna see here the opponent trying their best to realign themselves because they know we have basically nothing to do against the Wigglytuff with our lead, and that is a very smart play by the opponent, as now we're gonna have our Wigglytuff against the opponent's Gastrodon, and there is nothing I can do about it. Like, there's literally nothing I can do here. What really killed this team for me was mainly Mudslap users, and like, this team doesn't look weak to Mudslap users at all. Everything is kind of neutral. But it just still is so difficult to beat those Mudslap users right now. Anyway, we're going to have a very good lead here. We're going to have Clodsire against us. They swap out into the Gastrodon. What do? We're going to decide to go for a Shadow Punch, and now we can swap out afterwards into our into our Wigglytuff, of course. Wigglytuff is going to be able to charm them down, and I thought this was a great idea because now we can use a shield onto the guaranteed Earth Power, and now they can only go for our Body Slam. That's going to be great for us, right? Wrong. This Pokemon now, with a Mudslap buff, is just generating energy like it's nothing, doing a ton of fast move damage like it's nothing. Like, Mudslap is literally the craziest thing I've seen so far in Pokemon Go PvP. Like, this is by far the weirdest move. I don't know, I think it is kind of, isn't it the same as Astonish? But like, it feels like so much stronger than Astonish does, and I don't really know how. But otherwise, this team itself, I think it's great. I think I was very unlucky with the Pokemon that I encountered, but I think, like, based on what this team is supposed to do, I think it's great because, for example, you encounter a Mandibuzz in the lead, you have a great Say Swap in the Dunsparce, which also most likely going to be able to get out the Clodsire, where the poison typing is resisted by our lead, and so you have then coverage with for the Clodsire with the Drill Run, and then you have in the back the Wigglytuff, which can beat especially Dark-type Pokemon like the Mandibuzz, just so our lead doesn't have to go up against it. But not only this, it's also great against a lot of the Normal-type Pokemon, which also our lead can struggle with. So Wigglytuff in the back basically makes perfect sense. Say Swap of Dunsparce makes perfect sense. But it still doesn't help you if you're going to encounter hard counter leads most of the time. But also, I feel like there's just a bulk issue here which you can talk about as well. I don't know, like, here's the thing as well, you're gonna see some other matchups here. Again, Clodsire is going to be quite neutral, but Dusknoir, while yes, of course it's Shadow, I'm very much surprised about the lack of bulk on this Pokemon. I actually thought it was a bit bulkier, of course, because you think about the pre-evolution first usually, and the pre-evolution is very bulky. But basically, there were matchups which you see as well later on anyway against other Mud-type users that I thought we would have a decent shot, because we have Astonish, which is a great move, which is buffed, and we have Shadow Punch, which is a great move and buffed, and both are stab, and everything is kind of fine. But the lack of bulk on this Pokemon actually kind of is a little bit of a hindrance for this Pokemon for sure. And I do think that especially Dusknoir is going to be way better in the Open Ultra League. Open Ultra League is, I think, the one way you really want to have this one. But also here, for example, if we had Poltergeist, we would have been able to one-shot the opponent's Clodsire, but with Shadow Ball, we're just not going to be able to do that. And so we are going to be able to at least go for the Shadow Punch and get the shield from them, but still not looking too great, as we are going to be at least able to fully farm them down, get a ton of energy here. In comes the Earthquake from the opponent. In the back, it's going to be a Machamp, where we can at least go for the Shadow Punch to do a ton of damage. We still have the Wigglytuff, which the opponent knows about, but we have also energy on that one. I was very surprised about this move. I thought, oh, there's no way that the opponent is going to be able to get it to a hard-hitting move, but it's actually the Rock Slide, and so we are going to be able to still at least go for the Icy Wind and hopefully now fully farm them down. Moving on to the next opponent, we have Malamar in the lead. That's actually more of a neutral lead than you might think. You can stay in for a bit, you can even decide to go maybe even for the Shadow Punch. I think you get to the Shadow Punch at the same time as they're gonna get to the Foul Play, as far as I know. But we swap out here into the Dunsparce because we have a great Pokemon in the back. But this might not be the ideal play. Maybe it would have been better to even just go up to the Shadow Punch and then swap out. Might have been a better play to go for, I'm not too sure. There's a video on my channel already about Malamar where I got a 13-game unbeaten win streak. I'd never lost with the team that I built there. So maybe check that one out as well. I was expecting kind of similar stuff because I saw a lot of people complaining that they see this team all the time already in the Go Battle League. So sorry about this one, but yeah, it is what it is, people copying my teams, which is kind of what it's supposed to be like, right? Like, there's supposed to be some kind of learning experience from the teams that I do here, and like, of course, I want to showcase very good teams for you as well, so you can get some nice wins with that. But yeah, I saw a lot of people complain about it. But here, we're gonna see a Clodsire running Sludge Bomb, which is a little bit of an interesting one there. Doesn't really matter in this case, I think. But yeah, we have to take now an Earthquake from the opponent. There's nothing really that we can do about it. But at least we can overfarm, that's what I thought, but the opponent actually can go for another charge move here, which I did not expect at all. I did not think that they had that much energy already on the Clodsire, and that is going to definitely kill the game here. This was most likely a very winnable battle, which you're gonna see here later on as well, because they're going to have in the back Dragalge. I would have had definitely a shot against this Pokemon for sure, but it is what it is. We can move on to the next opponent. Oh, look at this, Malamar again. We can swap out again, but yeah, we had so far, I think, like 2 dark types, a normal type, quite a lot of hard counters to our lead. It is just what it is. Like, that's definitely something that impacted the results that we had here. There were not really a lot of easy matchups for us, or like matchups where we would have a great time against it. And there are a lot of them. Like, there are actually a lot of very good matchups for us. Where it would be definitely beneficial to have that Pokemon, but we just were not really lucky. Like, maybe it is not ideal in the lead, maybe you should try it out as a Pokemon, as a closer, for example, and have like Wigglytuff in the lead and have a different Say Swap. That might be an option, maybe something like Sableye Say Swap, but I don't know, like, I definitely feel like it is kind of overrated a bit for this league, but I guess it's only ranked like in the top 70 as well. Like, it's not like crazy ranked either, so maybe that's the reason as well for it. But here, for example, I feel like there's a lot of dark type coverage in the current meta, and that is going to definitely be a little bit of a difficult time for Dusknoir, as you're gonna see here as well with the Weezing. Having access to Brutal Swing is kind of tricky for it. We're gonna be able to at least do a ton of damage with Astonish. Like, Astonish is doing so much damage against them, which is really cool. But again, maybe it is going to be better in a kind of different type of team. I am not saying that Dusknoir is a bad Pokemon at all, but I feel like I just got a little bit unlucky, and I feel like maybe it is a better closer, because just farming down opponents with the Astonish might be the better way to go forward with this Pokemon. But here, we're gonna see the Play Rough coming through. The Play Rough gonna put us into range for 1 superpower, so well played by the opponent, but again, so much Dark-type coverage, like there was nothing really for our Dusknoir to do. And yeah, like, what are we supposed to do here? Like, we're going to have another Wigglytuff in the lead. That's going to be lovely, isn't it? Wigglytuff is just not really something that we can beat with our lead at all. And that's like the one thing that kinda I hope it's going to be changing for the Dusknoir to just have some coverage. Like if it would have just some neutral coverage, would be ideal here, as we are, yeah, not really having anything with it. I guess like if you can purify it, but I think if you purify it, you're not going to be able to get it at the correct level anyway. So like, yeah, I don't think there's a really way for it. But yeah, Dusknoir here definitely would appreciate some coverage that hits especially normal type Pokemon. Like normal type Pokemon are definitely a big of a problem there. But as you're gonna see here, there are also some very cool matchups for Dusknoir. You're gonna see the full farm down against the opponent's Golurk. Golurk gonna go for a Shadow Punch, and in comes Cresselia, where we can go for a Shadow Punch as well. This is going to be able to, yeah, get the shield here from the opponent. We will use a shield against them, and we will try our best now to still win this battle just with our Dusknoir. Dusknoir can go for another Shadow Punch, and we're gonna charge very fast towards it anyway, and so we are gonna try to go for another Shadow Punch here now, and this is going to be enough to hopefully knock out that Cresselia, and we can move on to the next opponent. So let's take a look at this. So we're gonna have the Marowak. Marowak is going to, yeah, definitely be a little bit of an interesting matchup. That's kind of the stuff that I wanted to talk about as well earlier on already. Those Mud type users are just better. Like, it is just the case. Like, Mud type users are just better than the Astonish / Shadow Punch users in just neutral scenarios. And we saw it as well already. The opponent had way more health than we did. But this is still going to be an okay matchup for us, because we have here, at least a decent matchup against the Dugong. We're going to have super effective coverage with both our fast move as well as the Rock Slide. This is the interesting thing about the Dunsparce. The Rock Slide nerf didn't really impact it too much because he got buffed with a fast move anyway, and so the damage that you lose from Rock Slide doing less damage, you're gonna already get from the fast move alone, and definitely the matchup is going to be a bit better this season, even though Rock Slide got nerfed for the Dunsparce compared to last season. As we will see as well, we can go for the full farm down, get some energy, get a realignment, and get a drill run for later on. We're gonna store this one for later, as we can swap out into our Dusknoir, getting some lovely damage against them. But as you see again, the opponent is just bulkier, the opponent has the same pacing, the opponent has just more neutral damage, and that is the issue. Just right now, I feel like ghost typing is maybe a little bit of a trickier one, and of course we get hardwalled nearly every single game so far, and there's not a lot that I can do about it. Like, yeah, I already made videos about the core of Toxapex and the Marowak. They are being very, very strong, and here we see it also live already. This is a very good call, and yeah, we're gonna lose this one. Next one, we're going to have here a horrible lead again. Like, honestly, like, I cannot even really say anything against Dusknoir, but, like, because, like, what am I supposed to do here? Like, getting hardwalled every single battle? Like, again, Dark type in the lead, we had so many Ghost types in the lead, and that is just something where maybe other Pokemon are just being a bit better in the current meta. We're gonna see the Gastron coming in here, going to try to go ahead and go for some hard-hitting damage, but as you will see, we use a shield, as I was hoping that would win the CMP tie, which I apparently don't do. And so we're gonna get the drill run off. This is going to be able to get them low, and we can try to go for the full charm down, as this is going to now impact also the Dunsparce matchup here. We're gonna try to get an Ice Event off in time, but the opponent gets to the drill run first. And so we can now get the debuff onto them, but we are 2 shields down. Very likely that they are gonna use a shield here as well. But of course, we have another normal type Pokemon, and what is our Dusknoir gonna do against it? While Bodyslam got nerfed this season, I feel like normal type Pokemon kinda increased in usage as well. It's not just Lickitung. Basically, before it was just Lickitung. Now there are like a lot of other normal type Pokemon that got, thanks to like rollout, a lot of usage, or yeah, basically. Yeah, also something like Wigglytuff that got through Swift more usage this season. And so here, what am I supposed to do against a Dark type and a normal type with my Ghost type? Like, there's just nothing I can do. And like, what can I really say about the Dusknoir there if the matchups are all horrible for it? So the only kind of thing that I can, I guess, get out of this video for Dusknoir is that the Pokemon itself is kind of decent. The Pokemon itself is a bit too frail. The Pokemon itself is kind of very awkward against the current meta. That's all that I can really say about it. Dark Pulse coming through here. We will see the full farm down. We try to see the full farm from the Wigglytuff, but it just doesn't work. And now we have like one other issue, pacing. It is not the fastest one to get to the moves. Like, Shadow Punch needs 12 turns total to get to, which is okay, but it's not fast. And as we don't have the bulk here, yes, I would be able to survive one Ice Punch from the opponent. but then we're gonna get farmed down afterwards. And we have an ABB style line here as we base. I mean, it's not really an ABB style line. We have 2 normal types in the back, but if you think about it, normal typing only has the weakness, of course, to fighting, and that is going to be kinda okay for us anyway, because the Wigglytuff can still beat fighting type Pokemon. So I guess it's not really an ABB style line there, especially as Dunsparce is not really considered to be a normal type Pokemon if it doesn't have normal type attacks. But yeah, anyway, we're going to be able to go into our Dunsparce now as well, but there's not a lot that we can do here against the opponent as well. I was hoping that after the buff of a Rollout, we would be able to go for the full farm down. Turns out I'm completely wrong with that, and I decided to go for the Rock Slide here, which is going to be able to try to get the knockout, which does work out at least for us, and they're going to go back into the Sand Slash as we're going to go for another Rock Slide. The opponent actually swaps out here into the Mandibuzz, and oh, look at this again. We're going to have our Dusknoir against the Dark type. So if you ever feel unlucky in Go Battle League, you might feel that this is not the only thing that you're gonna have there as well. I have it sometimes as well. So basically, you saw just 10 battles of gameplay where Dusknoir gonna go up against its hardest counters and loses because of this. And I guess like that is maybe the story that I can tell you here today. I don't think that Dusknoir is going to have a lot of play in the current meta, mainly because the meta is just very strong, very good against it, and that's a big issue. What I would say though is that I think that Drifblim is going to have actually more play, and maybe we want to take a look at this one in the future on this channel as well. So maybe subscribe, leave a like if you want to, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.